So welcome everybody. My name is Richard Zaldivar. I'm the executive director and the founder of the G.L.O.W Memorias project. The G.L.O.W Memorias is a community health and wellness organization dedicated to serving Latino, LGBT, and other underserved populations through advocacy, education, and building the next generation of leadership. Our services include HIV testing to gay and bisexual men, transgender community. The organization also provides substance abuse prevention services and mental health services, prevention services to the LGBTQ population. We also provide leadership development, capacity building services in the Boyle Heights community. The G.L.O.W Memorias project started back in 1993, and I, as a founder, am very proud of the work that we have done. We constructed the first publicly funded AIDS monument right at Lincoln Park. And as we speak today, the monument is going under $870,000 worth of renovation to the monument. We, in the Latino community on the East Side, built the only AIDS monument in the country. And so that's something that we're very proud of. I also want to tell you a little bit about why we're doing this tonight. And we'll continue with the conversation. I don't know, I'm sure all of us are walking through this whole process of being sheltered in place day by day. When we first went behind the closed doors, behind our four walls, we started moving our staff back into their homes so that they could do their work. And as we were doing work from our spaces on Zoom and other platforms, we realized that we're still missing out and not being able to work with the community and talk to all of you and many others in the community. So we created some of these virtual town halls. And I'm so jazzed tonight that we have a great friend in Shakira Barrera, who comes out in amazing television series, both on G.L.O.W and It's Bruno. And she's been an amazing friend to us and an incredible, powerful leader on a number of human rights issues in the community that impact not only the people here in Los Angeles, but throughout the nation and throughout the world. And soon you'll be hearing from our special guest, Annie Gonzalez. But first I wanna welcome and say hello to the beautiful Shakira Barrera. Shakira?
Hi, everybody. Those are horns, like at the club. Do you know those horns that go off, Richard?
Yes.
So that's what that is. But anyway, hi, everybody. I'm just reading your chat. I want to shout out people from all these places: Atlanta, Georgia, San Fran, Victoria, Regina. Look at that. Jess Mesa. What's up, girl? I love this, Javier. Anyway, I'm really happy that you guys are here and joining us. I want this space to feel light and free and free of judgment. And most important, I want you guys to leave feeling empowered. And I think you're in for a special treat with what Annie is going to do for us. But first of all, I just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about two sides of the coin right now. So I think people are on two sides of the coin. They're fear-based or acceptance-based. And I think a lot of the fear comes from the unknown. So we don't know when we're coming back. Some people think we're coming back too soon. For example, Friday, we all know that, Atlanta or Georgia is thinking about reopening. And I have some friends here who are from Atlanta, and they're just as lost as you and I. So I think right now is just a time of a lot of commotion, a lot of fear, not too much acceptance. So I hope that today we can bring you to the other side of the coin, which is a side of freedom and lightness and acceptance. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on my friend Annie Gonzalez from the hit show Gentefied on Netflix, which I'm very, very excited about. I hope you guys get season 2. We're all going to put that in the air, but Annie, take it away.
Hello, you beautiful people. I am so honored. Richard, Shakira, thank you guys so much, number one, for bringing me on to into this beautiful community. When you called me, I remember I was just like shaking, like, no way. Like, yes, I would love to do this. This sounds amazing. Starting these meaningful mornings on my page every morning has really been something that I felt, I feel like people thought that I was doing it for them, helping the community, but really it's been helping me. And I realized that that's what it is. Light begots light. As you lend your hand out, you're really helping yourself as well, because we're all in this together. So I want to start, this off by opening it up with some sage, clearing out and burning anything that isn't serving us, and inviting everything in that will help propel our highest good. So I would like us to start off, if you guys can, to start off with some mantras with me. It's going to be quick, it's going to be easy, and just repeat after me, just so we can start in a safe space. This is what this is, exactly what Shakira said. We want to lift the vibration. And it's not about good or bad, but the acceptance of what is. And I love how beautifully you put that, because I think that's what we are yearning towards. And I think that's, if we can make sense of this time that we have for peace and quiet, it is to find sense of self and acceptance of what is, and how we can expand upon that self. All right, you guys, let's take a moment, get centered with yourself, and repeat after me, okay? I am beautiful. I am kind. I am capable. I am adaptable. I am healthy. I am safe. I am home. That's beautiful, you guys. I'm so proud of you. I see everyone repeating these mantras. I can see your beautiful faces going for it. It makes me so happy. So I am going to start off with reading something from this book, which I felt really, I had written a message down, and the thing that I had wanted to talk about was, and I talk about it every day. It's one of my favorite things to talk about, is holding space and perspective, because I think during this time, it's such a heavy period, and I think the truth of it is, it's not, I feel like people are fighting with the acceptance of it, and let's push towards productivity. How can we be better? How can we do this? But instead of understanding the truth of what's going on, that we're in a pandemic and it's difficult, and yes, it is heavy, but can you accept the heaviness right now and dig through the muck so that it's easier to move through and find the peace within it? Instead of always pushing towards positivity, my goal in this space is to find peace and understanding. So I think before we do that, we need to hold space for ourselves to see what that even feels like. Instead of, I feel like a lot of the time we're pushing through these things and looking outward to try and find our happiness. And I think that's what is so confusing about this stillness, because not only can we physically not go outside, there is nothing external that can give us happiness right now. So you are forced to sit with the silence. So the thing that has helped me within that has been, and I don't know if you guys do it, which is something, a tool that I think is so important, grabbing a notepad, grabbing a pen, and purging everything that you feel on this page without judgment, without condemnation, but just having the space to purge so that you can understand what's going on to better move through it, right? So that you can have acceptance. So I think we need to first hold space for ourselves, and holding space is taking time to listen to how you feel, to what you need in that moment, and just writing it down, not assigning a value to it. And it can be anything. You can write gibberish. You can write F you for 3 pages if that's what's getting it out. I learned a lot of that from what is it called? It's The Artist Way. If you guys are into exploring your creativity in that way as well, The Artist Way is a really good book that I would definitely recommend to check out. It's a 7-week course that you can do by yourself, but it's a great catalyst for self-change or self-expansion. I don't want to say change because we already are who we're going to be. I think this time just sheds a light on that even more, right? We only, in times of trouble and in times of triumph, we only become more of what we are, right? So I think it's good to take a look at that as we're in this space. Well, what are we? Well, what do I want to become? Is the daily practice of my life that for my peace, or is it creating more chaos in the world that I'm living in right now? And we have control of that. So let me take you to this amazing book called Acts of Faith, Daily Meditations for People of Color by Anna Gonzalez. This was for April 22nd today, and I thought it was really great, and it tied in, especially, working with my first venture with the Wall, Las Memorias, and Shakira and you guys. So as you look around the community, society, the world, you probably see many things you would like to change. Injustice, inequality, hatred, and poverty probably disturb you. You may be angered by the lack of respect and insensitivity to people and their needs. You want to speak out and sometimes strike out to make the changes happen. But don't forget that God works from the inside out. You must first look within yourself to eliminate the fear, the anger, the imbalance in your life. Then and only then you can move forward to create peaceful and powerful changes needed in the world. I thought that was a really powerful message, and it tied into holding space and perspective. I think the reason why it's so important to hold space for yourself is so that you can understand that when there's something that you're frustrated with outward, it's usually something that you really haven't reconciled with on the inside. And we're all just mirrors for each other, really, right? So if you don't like what you see in another person, it's essentially because there's something that you haven't really dealt with within yourself that you might need to talk to. And just to understand, I think even just the ability to hold space for it and understanding someone is, in understanding yourself, it's easier to understand someone else, right? And it's easier to move through the world without these anxieties, these fears, these things that hold you back from being your clearest self. I try and refrain from using the words best, good, better, worse, because I think that just, it puts too much pressure on what we think we need to be versus what we are. And I think the truth is we are already perfect. I am not religious by any means, right? But I do believe that we are all created from source. Well, whatever words you like to use, God, Jesus, it's all, whatever terminology is safest for you. I say use that, but they say we are all made in the image and likeness of God, right? God, the universe, source itself, is divinely perfect. And how divinely perfect are we able to have this conversation on Earth Day? How beautiful is that? We get to celebrate each other. We get to celebrate the universe on this day. And yes, there are so many things that we can look at, and it's difficult. It is a difficult time, right? But even in these difficult times, it's great to understand that you are the light, and light begots light. That joy cannot be taken away from you. So if you right now in this time you're looking for peace, well, baby, you got it. It's right here. You're looking for joy, baby, you got it. It's right here. Everything that you want is just a vibration. So many times we think we have to look outward for the thing. Well, I won't be happy until I can go back to work. I won't be happy until I'm able to create this piece of art. I won't be happy until happiness, joy, peace, love, it all starts from the inside. You have the power to create and manifest all that you want. And to understand that off rip, y'all are divinely perfect. By you being here, the fact that from all the little eggs all the little things that could have went into your mama and got you here. That is some magic. Are you kidding me? Come on. That, if nothing else, that is something to be celebrated. There's so much that we can look at right now, and you know, and it's real, and it's all relative to a situation. I say, give yourself the space to have those feelings as well. Give yourself the room. I mean, and I am the first one to say, the first 2 weeks of this, I was throwing tantrums. I literally was throwing myself on the floor like a 5-year-old and shaking on the floor because I just needed to get it out. And I did it without judgment, without anything. And the next day, the idea of, well, what is my purpose? What can I give to the world? Because right now I'm feeling purposeless, but that's not anyone else's fault. That's my fault, my responsibility. Do I choose to take ownership of the piece of my life? Well, yes, I do. And I'm not saying that every day is, I think it's in the same realm of the same gusto that you have for your ambitiousness. You have to have that same energy with your patience for yourself. How it's so easy for us to move and go and shake. I like it when I'm moving. I like it when I'm going. I like it when it's loud. I like it when it's this. You need to practice that same energy, that joy that you have there, with patience, with quiet. They say, especially because, you know, I keep hearing about this as this is a dark time, this is a dark time, this is a dark time. You know, it's a heavy time, it's a heavy time. When things are heavy, you put them down. In the dark, you rest. This is a time for rest. And I don't mean rest like do nothing, or maybe that is what you need to do right now. Maybe you've been pushing yourself, you're on a little choo-choo train, you've been going too much. This is a time to get back to self, to connect, to rest, to sleep, to enjoy things a little more, to take your time. That's why it's so good. This gives you perspective. I've been hearing so many people talk about how, you know, now when someone invites me to a party, I'm never going to say no. I'm going to show up to that party. You know, I'm going to stop canceling on these lunch dates that I kept putting off. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Maybe this time, right, as once we start to transition and, you know, and instead of, I get excited, and so I want to jump to every like little thing, y'all, so bear with me. So maybe this time, while we are in a state of calm and peace and rest, moving forward, we will have a bit more intention when we say yes to something, so that our follow through is clear. We will have a little bit more integrity with our word, right? We will commit to that. We will, oh my gosh, I've been reading the 4 agreements, you guys, with my book club, and let me tell you, we will be impeccable with our word, right? We will learn that everybody is doing their best, because that is all we can do at this time. And your best, when I say your best, it doesn't mean you have to wake up at 7 a.m., do your at-home workout, read a book, make sure you meditate, do this. Sometimes your best is getting up and washing your little butt and then going back to sleep. And that can be your best. And I honor you, and allow yourself space to have that be your best. Your best changes from one day to the next. Maybe this time, right, as we transition into, because we'll have a better understanding of self, we'll realize, because of the perspective and the space we had away from people, I will not take these things as personally anymore, because the people that have been struggling with anxiety and depression when this time wasn't happening, and now I'm in this and I'm struggling with anxiety and depression, maybe I'll have a little bit more reverence for the people around me, because I'm able to hold space for myself now in this newfound territory, right? I think these are things for us to think about, because it just makes it easier to move through the world. You know, when it's easier to see ourselves, so that it's easier to see everyone else around us. And I think the first way that we can go about practicing that, y'all, writing in your journal. And every day, just do your best at writing in here. I'm telling you, my pages look different on a day-to-day basis. Sometimes it's messy and it looks like chicken scratch, right? And then sometimes it's beautiful. Oh my, look at that. Look at how clear and concise that is compared to the chicken scratch I had. But you know what? I'm a boss bae on both of those pages. Oh, And that's what you got to give yourself the room and the space to move through that, because we are artists. I think that is the truth. We are artists. Oh my God, I'm getting 2 little messages, y'all. I love you. I think that's what we have to remember in this time. The art that you have is your existence, is your creation. Don't limit yourself with that. You put pen to paper and get it out. There is art in everything. We get to create everywhere we go, right? There is an there's an art form to being a mathematician. There's an art form to being the way that you, Shakira and Richard and Erica organized all this, all you guys, everybody else involved with Las Memorias, that is an art form. Because I'm just like, cool, all I got to do is click on and sign on and be my little mythical self. Let me do it. I do not have that. However, I hold my space and understand that that is not my strong suit, but I see that it's theirs, and I am grateful and honored to know that we can. But again, it's about understanding oneself. Shakira and I had a conversation a couple weeks ago when she was introducing me to this, and she was like, I'm very anal and this is how I like to do things. And I was like, thank God you know yourself, because I am not. So you might have to be on me a little bit to return these emails or to get this information in. And sure enough, because I have held space to know myself enough, she sent me a couple text messages like, hey girl, need you to send it. Hey girl. And I'm like, oh my God. But it relieves the pressure, right, of life and the frustrations that we face every day. Because then we're just projecting ourselves onto everyone else when it's like, this is my stuff. I don't need to put this onto you. And that's what I say in this time. Try and take this space so that you're not going back into the normalcy of your life, or this new normal that is going to be created, with the same negative thought patterns that have helped, that perpetuated a life that you didn't like in the first place. This is giving you, or if it's something that you didn't like, you know what I'm saying? I think this is giving you a whole new perspective of what makes me happy. It's almost like the world decided to break up with us for a little bit. Mother Earth was like, you know what? I need a break. Y'all better go back home. I don't want to see any of y'all right now. We need a moment. I probably should start wrapping this up too, Susan. Hi, no, I talk a lot, yeah. Okay, Richard said, go.
Take your time. Take your time.
I feel like I love to give scenarios and visualizations because I think they help me a lot. I feel like this time is it's a breakup with our former self, with the former vibration that we've had, that we knew, I mean, I think for me, the reason why I'm finding so much purpose, even though there's this lull, because I myself, y'all, listen, I am out of work. I do not have a job. I am figuring out how to collect unemployment. Like, we are all in this together. So this really humanizes and brings us all to like this level playing field of, listen, no one is above this right now. We're all going through it together, right? But what can I do right now that will give me joy? Because money isn't going to give me joy. Yes, maybe it'll alleviate the pressure, but it's not going to give me joy. It'll pay my bills, but yet I will still be faced with the pressure of, I'm inside. What can I do? I'm with this person. I had to move back home with my mom. Like, there is a lot of things here that I could easily be like, this is horrible. I hate it here. But instead, I'm like, instead of talking, Mother Teresa says this, instead of talking about what you don't want, talk about what you do want, right? Don't invite me to an anti-war rally. Invite me to a pro-peace rally. So I think as we switch into a higher vibration, see a higher frequency, what do you want? I think throughout our life and just throughout society in general, like, I think this capitalist society, it's always forcing us to look at what we don't have, this consumer society, right? It's always like, well, I don't have this, I need that. I think this time is showing you that you don't need anything, because it's all here, right? All of it. I have a roof over my head. I have food in my stomach. I have a blanket and a pillow that I get to sleep with at night. I have people that check on me and love me. And if I had none of that, I have my peace. And I think I've made my life a practice of that via meditation. Even if you can start with 1 minute, writing down in my notebook, even if it's one sentence. Give yourself the space to try something new. Give yourself the space in the room to be bad at it. See what that feels like. Humans aren't afraid of dying. We're afraid of really living. This is the time that you get to live. Because you're not on the hamster wheel anymore. There's so much that we can look to in gratitude. If you choose to change your perspective, if you have the room, if you have the luxury, you know, and I think us, 70 participants on here have access to internet and a device in which that they can use said internet. I think we all have some sort of luxury enough to want to create a little bit of expansion in ourselves, to see how we can feel more of ourselves, feel clearer in ourselves, have more aware consciousness, right? So I give this as my gift to you. I hope you got something from it. You guys are all such brilliant people, even tuning in. This is I'm so grateful that you guys are letting me, that you all are here. And thank you, Richard and Shakira, for letting me foam off at the mouth. It's my favorite thing.
So I want to just give a round of applause to Annie. You know, I just wanted to,
I love these ones, of course, because they're the highest ones.
There we go.
I just wanted to point out something. First, I want to thank you, Annie. You're just so amazing and so centered and grounded. I really do appreciate it. I have a question.
Yes.
I know we're going to have other questions, but one of the questions, I know for me, I've learned a lot being in our apartment for 4 weeks, right? And even at my age, you know, I'm saying to myself, I have to start new habits, right?
Yeah.
I got to go to bed at night. I have this emotional tug. When I tune on to what's going on in the world and the people in Washington, I get really angry. And then at nighttime, it's like when you hear of all the people who died, you know, my partner and I, we get very emotional, right? And so these emotions are constantly going like this. And so I've learned now, and I continue to learn how to kind of balance that out, right? And then go back to the focus. And I think this is what you're providing to us tonight. You know, you're really creating this safe space. And I really do want to appreciate it.
Listen, I am grateful for you guys. Like I said, we are all just mirrors of each other. So whatever, I always say this, and I receive the compliment so fully. Thank you so much, Richard. But I will say, and to everyone else watching, y'all too, whatever anyone sees in me, it is always just a reflection. So if you see the light in me, just know that that is burning just as bright in y'all. So, hell yeah.
Annie, I love that. You said so many things that just struck so many chords inside of me. So many topics. I feel like we can talk about this forever, but something that stood out to me was you saying this pace that we all had before the quarantine. I think that's similar, and that's something that we all genuinely have. We all have in common. No matter what, we were all moving at a faster pace, right? So now with that pace, I think for me, when I went into the quarantine the first week, I took that pace and went at it the same way as if I was still in a normal routine. So for example, we heard the news of quarantine and I said, all right, I got to work out. I'm going to have the best body I've ever had. It's going to be in the best shape it's ever been. And I'm going to wake up every day. And I just made myself these promises. And what I ended up doing was eating an entire box of Oreos.
Girl.
The next day, what happened was I started to gain what I named it myself, revenge mindset, where I would go into revenge mode constantly with myself. With myself, trying to get inspiration. I would finish the box of Oreos and then I would say, all right, I'm going to start tomorrow. And then I would work out. And then I would go down the same rabbit hole. So I feel like that energy was for week 1 and 2. And 3 and 4, I got a little bit more accustomed. And now for me, I'm in this space where it's starting to become more fear-based, because I don't know when we're going back to work. And like, most of us are not essential workers, shout out to our essential workers, but most of us aren't going to our 9 to 5s. We're not going to our jobs. So for me, before I go to our participants, because I wrote down a couple of good questions for you.
I totally have something to add to what you're about to say after. So sorry. Go.
No, my question is, so how do we take that momentum as people and kind of translate it into this stillness that you're talking about? Is it something like sitting on a couch and kind of immobilizing ourselves in the way that it gives our room for thought? Like, what is it that we can do as people right now in this week?
Oh my God, I just love everything that you're saying. Yes, because I know I myself can resonate with that. I mean, right before, the show had just come out and we had just went on a press tour, and, you think all these things, and then it was like, boom, we're all going into hiatus. And I was like, oh, tight. And I worked at a bar job up until this point too. And I had a friend say something to me so beautiful recently. He's like, I understand that everyone's freaking out, but what we don't realize as humans is our superpower is adaptability. We can literally live anywhere in any climate and we'll figure it out. People in Antarctica eat blubber, like, to keep themselves alive. There's keto diets, there's this, there's that. I think what's the hardest thing for humans is the transitional period, not necessarily the change. And I think the things that we can do to keep ourselves to get ourselves into what you're saying, more of a peace state. I think the initial thing is to hold space for how you feel, so that you can acknowledge how you feel, so that you can then work through how you feel, and have patience with it, because it's not going to be something that happens overnight. Like, this has been a practice that I've been working on for a minute, right? But it is applicable. Like, we can all do it, and it's just the starting of the thing. I think it's the fear of the start. So I think it's hold space so that you can admit what you're feeling. I think in this time, I hear so many people being like, no, well, I have to be positive, and it doesn't work for me to hear this or talk about that. And I'm like,
productive. People keep saying, they feel like they're not being productive enough, which with me, I think I hear, I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
I'm not good enough.
Yes.
And I think that that's something that, from what I'm hearing, is that you're wanting us to hear that, to sit with that, to breathe through that, to journal that, and to just kind of think on it slowly, just over the days. Because this is something for me, I'm not sure about, the people who are tuning in, but I'm not really attuned to this type of work. I'm somebody who kind of works on momentum and works on all these things, and I'm aware already of my voice and my conscience and all that stuff, my subconscious. But for the people who aren't doing this type of work, I just want to understand that this is something that they can apply. That's
yes. Oh my gosh, 1000%. And it looks different to each person, right? Like, what your piece for you, Shakira, would look different for what my piece is for me. Me and my old roommate that I was living with, the thing that kept her in alignment and centered was she's very structured like you. So she would wake up at 5:30 in the morning. She would do her meditation. She would take a very long time while she do it. And she would create bullet points of how her day was going to be set to give herself some sort of structure. I think sometimes we might need that. I think when you're used to having it, and it's okay to identify with that. Me, I like flying free and floating and, like rolling around on the floor for an hour if that makes me feel good. But I know certain people are like, no, I like to have a schedule. Oh my gosh, you can take ownership of that, my love. create a schedule for yourself. See what it feels like for you to have ownership over your days. What would that look like for you to create your peace? Not this false idea of peace where someone is telling you what to do, right? Because that is a form of what is that called? Then you like to be dictated. You like to be told what to do. But it's okay if that's what you also like as well. But it's good to identify then what it is we like, what it is we don't like, so then that we can apply that to our life. That's why I think it's so important to hold space so that you can and write down so you understand without judgment, right? Some people do know, I like order and I like it when someone tells me what to do. Awesome. I guarantee you there's an app for that. There is an app to help you schedule stuff.
Yeah, I wanted to go to some of the questions, and one question I think, because I'm noticing, or we're noticing in our organization, is people searching for a space, a sense of spirituality, and even more than ever before. So a question comes in, Annie, when did you begin your spiritual journey? Or what is it that guided you in this self-discovery mode?
Oh, wow. Okay. So it was an amalgamation of things. Short and sweet, I had seemingly had everything. I was living with my boyfriend. I was working a lot in the field that, in the entertainment industry. I had some level of success where I was feeling good. I was the most financially stable I've ever been. I had all these things, and I was depressed. And that's when I realized none of these things are going to make me happy like I thought. Well, then what is? And I've always been really interested in God, in source. I was raised Mormon up until I was about 8. And then we left the Mormon church. My mom left because we found out that Black people couldn't hold the priesthood in this until the 70s, and she was like, "That sounds racist. I don't think I want to be a part of this anymore." and then I myself, at about 12, because I was always searching for a higher meaning, converted to Catholicism. So I've always had this level of spirituality. And then after I stopped doing that, and I just started reading a lot. And it wasn't until about maybe 3 years ago that I went to therapy. And that was really the big thing for me. I think that it was also an eye-opener to see how my family and my community looked at mental health initially. And I think that's a big reason why I'm such an advocate for mental health, and I post all this stuff all the time, because I think it's so important for Black and brown visibility in the mental health space, because there's not much, and I'm not claiming to have any of the answers, but if I can be a pit stop to your journey to self, if I can be a catalyst to books that I can recommend or people, then that's, yeah. But that's how I started. I had everything, and I was like, this still feels, I'm not happy.
Thank you. And that question came from Adrena, and thank you so much for that question. Shakira, do you have one?
Yeah. So Stephen asked quite a lot, so I wanna at least address one of his questions. And what's standing out is because Annie just said there's really no therapy that's catered towards Black and brown faces and Black and brown people. So this question is, how do we have objections or participate without being labeled the angry person of color? When we have these conversations within our own community, it's fine, but outside of our community, we become the angry representation of our race. So I know that's a loaded question, but.
I love that question. I saw that when it popped up, and I was like, ooh, we better get to that one. I love that. You know what? I refuse labels from people who don't understand. What I can do is, because I get that a lot too, but I think people, this is one of my big things, even within the show that I'm in, right? I think, especially in Black and brown communities, we're often mislabeled as angry when it is passion for something. But because of the way that we move through it, you're not used to seeing someone of our nature passionate with articulation, so it scares you. Be afraid then. Be afraid and act accordingly. I am not afraid to intimidate anyone with my power. So I say with that, if someone calls you angry, smile. You haven't seen angry. I'll show you angry. This is not angry. I am patient. I am using strong words, and it is intimidating you because I know how to articulate myself, and I am clear, and you're not used to hearing me this crystal clear. Those are their words. I say that again, like how we said, these are people's projections of us, people who do not understand our plight in life, right? It's like as if it's already hard being a woman. It's like I'm, a woman, I'm brown, and I'm queer. Maybe I'm a little mother effing angry. I don't know if I can curse on this, but maybe I am, and it's okay, but you don't get to label me that.
I love that response, taking it to another place. Some folks in the community suffer from depression and loneliness. Now you put depression and loneliness behind four walls for a month, not knowing where we're going in the future. So Daniel Mendez asks, how do you fight against the feelings of loneliness and depression when you live alone?
I know friends of mine have been looking towards their artwork, creation, whatever that may be, storytelling, and I do think that even the technology that we have is very helpful for connectivity. It's not gonna, taking walks out in nature, hugging trees. This is gonna sound weird, but go with me. What's his name that asked the question?
Daniel,
go with me on this one. Oh, Daniel. Hi, Daniel Mendez. Daniel, go with me on this one. I know it's gonna sound interesting, but we're gonna get a little weird today. When I get sad, when because I struggle really badly with depression and anxiety. I've learned you can give yourself the love. And honestly, with all of these things, that's why we call it Mother Earth. It's all living things. If you can go out and find a plant and connect with that vibration, in the meantime, be able to meditate and hear what it's saying and feel what it's giving you in those moments. I understand it's different from human connectivity, but these are just little ways in the meantime while we find our journey back to some type of normalcy where we can have human interaction, because the truth is nothing replaces that. We are a communal society. We work together. We work with people. So I'm not telling you that this is going to replace all humans and this is going to be the thing, but these are just little tools that you can use in the meantime.
That's great. That's amazing. Richard, should we do one more question or do you want to?
I don't know if anybody has more questions that they want to put it into the chat.
I saw one, actually, we could take this last one because Annie mentioned this to me this morning. So this is Sadie Cifuentes. I'm not sure if we could see her, but she says, hi everyone, my name is Sadie. I saw Annie, she loves you, by the way.
Love you.
She's a first generation college graduate with a BA in sociology. As a first generation Latina, I have been feeling impostor syndrome in my new role, and even more during this COVID-19 pandemic. So she started to work at a high school as a college and career advisor in August. So what are some tools or practices that I can use to help me?
My gosh, girl. What's her name again?
Sadie Cifuentes. I think she's...
Diane Sadie Cifuentes?
She's here. Yeah, she's off, but she's here.
Yes. Girl, you are not the only one. I think we all struggle with imposter syndrome. I think especially when we living in a society that doesn't necessarily feel like it's built for us. We're always marginalized and made to feel less than. So it's hard to try and assert yourself when you're pushing yourself in these fields, right? Even myself in hosting, and being a part of this. I'm right. I was just talking to you. Yeah, you're right, Shakira. I was just literally saying, like, I don't know. Are you sure you guys want me to do this? Like, I don't know. And I meditated on it, and I was like, no, I am deserving of this. I have the information. I've worked hard enough. These are the mantras that we have to give ourselves. So I say this to you, girl. I feel you, I see you, I recognize you, I am you, but the truth of you, like we just started all in the beginning of this, you are brilliant and made in perfection just by existing. That is your fucking qualifier. Sorry for saying the F word, I got excited, but that is your qualifier, okay? So I say that to say the mantras really help me. Anytime because again, I struggle with really bad anxiety, especially social anxiety, I have to give myself, before I go into an audition, before I go into a meeting, before I go into events, because even these events, I have imposter syndrome. I'm like, I don't deserve to be here. Like, I'm a chubby Latina from East LA. What do you mean? Like, and it's like, people are like, we don't see you like that, girl. But I will always see myself as this 180-pound little Mexican girl singing Bette Midler and Barbara Streisand songs, hoping one day she'll be able to be on TV. That never goes away, right? But we're creating new narratives with the things that we tell ourselves. Is the garden that you are planting your vegetables and fruits in, what are you watering it with? Are you watering it with sewage, all the shit from your path? Or are you watering it with alkaline water, right? All these beautiful high vibrational things. And we gotta start telling ourselves these things. I am beautiful. I am brilliant. I am capable. I deserve to be here. Boom.
Richard, go ahead. You're on mute. We can't hear you. You're on mute.
I just think this is a great evening. And before we wrap up, there are a few people that have asked about what books do you recommend for inspiration, for being so transparent and inspirational. That comes from Cynthia Barrera. Love You and Gentrified, by the way. What resources would you recommend and books that has helped transform you?
Yeah, one of the books that was just like a ridiculous eye-opener for me is the one that I'm doing on my book club, The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. And how perfect, a Latino writer de Mexico. This book, wow, it just really took smoke and mirrors off of a lot of things that I had believed for so long. It helped me take all the weeds out of my garden of life so that I just had beautiful fruit trees. This book, I would definitely say, is a great place to start. And Abraham Hicks. Oh, if you haven't listened, Abraham Hicks. Right? Yes! Sean likes that one. Yeah.
So with that, tell us about your show you do in the mornings on Instagram.
Oh, yeah. So, Instagram Live, I do Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 a.m., 3 days a week. I basically walk my Insta fam, my soul family, through my morning routine. I started it because I was talking to my boyfriend and I'm, again, not finding purpose, and he had told me that he started writing in a journal. And this guy, mind you, I'm so mythical, he is very mathematical. Like, it needs to make sense. Like, A squared, B squared, right? And he had told me that he was writing in his journal. And I was like, where did that come from? He's like, well, you. I was like, me? I inspired you to do that? Like, you are the most, like, scientific. Like, how did that happen? He's like, yeah, you just gave me the freedom to do it. And I was like, well, if I could get his stubborn ass to do it, I can get the world to do it. And it will lift the vibration and everyone will feel clearer, not better, but just clearer. And it'll be an easier place to walk through. Like, that is that. So this is what I do. I take people through the profound concepts that I've learned. It's really simple language. Obviously, it's just the way that I talk. I want it to always feel like you're talking to a homegirl. Like, but I'm not the homegirl that's gonna be like, yeah, stay with him. I'm the homegirl that's gonna be like, break up with his ass and get better, because you better than that, okay, girl? With love.
So with that, You know, Shakira, this has been an incredible evening, spending it with so many folks in the community and with you, Annie. Any closing comments that you have, Annie, and any special?
Yes. Give me 1 second so I can go grab my my special. Oh, he's right here. Yay!
Yes,
Okay.
it's such a treat for you. I'm so excited.
I have a treat for you guys. So here is my lovely boyfriend, who I also, his name is Matias.
Hi, Matias.
So this is Matias. Before I introduce him as my lover, let me tell you about this beautiful gentleman. So
Someone said he's cute, Matias.
Rebecca, fall back, girl. He's taken, all right? I'm possessive. I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
What happened to the peace?
I know. Duality, girl. I'm still human. My bad. I'll catch it. She wrote, y'all cute. All right. I appreciate that, Rebecca. No, I'm just kidding. He's fine. I know. This is Matias. He can tell you about himself. Would you like to? Or?
Sure, yeah, I was listening earlier.
Yes.
So this is me, the stubborn boyfriend.
Matias, I'm sorry. I'm going to interrupt you. Come a little closer because your voice is softer than Annie's, so just come a little closer.
He's balance. If he's loud, I'm going to not want to be with him.
But yes, my name is Matthias. Yeah. Do you want me to introduce myself?
Yeah,
or?
so let me give you a little bit about him. He owns his own company.
Yeah, yes, I do.
Yes, he does. And it's called Hazy Bread. And just like a lot of us, we've talked about being affected by COVID-19, our livelihoods and things like that. He has had to close his bakery due to this whole pandemic we're in. But still during this time, he has found ways to give back. I'm going to just talk you up real quick and then you can take it over. He has found ways to give back. I've seen him donate to different food banks, and he even had a day where during this pandemic, because we saw that so many people in the food service industry were being affected, he hosted a day where he blasted out a message to everyone and was like, hey, I know everyone who's in the food service industry, I know times are hard. It's hard to, get food. If I can be of service, please let me know. I'm going to have a day where I give people bread who works in the food service industry. And so even during this time, right, where he could look and be like, woe is me, this is horrible. I have to close this, that, and the other. He's found ways to still contribute and be a light in not only my life, but others.
Yeah, I mean, after this conversation, I feel like I could have been more at peace or maybe chilled out a little bit. And that was sort of my way of not being able to stop. And that's something that actually just came up as I was listening to you guys' conversation.
Wow.
So yeah, maybe that was my way of coping and being like, okay, I got to close down the shop. How can I stop? I can't, but what can I give? So like, I don't want to say that, I'm this like super charitable I mean, it was charitable, and I met so many like amazing people and incredible stories. People lost their jobs, and giving back felt great. But just to bring it back to this conversation, I don't want to say that, I was at peace at that time.
Yeah.
I think that came later.
Yeah.
So after that, I had a couple days where I was really, then it really hit me like, okay, I got nothing to do. But yeah, I think the takeaway for me was, okay, I don't have this, but what do I have, and what can I give to someone who doesn't have what I have, which is bread. Or I know how to bake, so I can teach people how to bake. I can give people a sourdough starter. I can give them some free bread.
Yeah.
A lot of people are baking these days, so it's been nice to share knowledge too, and sort of sharing what you can. I think is what we can all do.
Yeah.
Is just share what's in your capacity to share. So whether that's a trade or
Oh my God, ew.
All right,
he's so
right.
great. Sorry, so if you guys, woohoo, all right, yes, Matias. So
can you follow, does he have social media for the bakery or whatever? Because I want some sourdough.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. It's Hazy Bread, HASI bread. So we moved out of the bakery, or actually this week we're moving out of the bakery. So my time to myself was coming up with a plan of how we're going to come back. So like, again, I feel like I can't rest. Maybe that's something I need to work on, but I did have 2 days where, you know, I was resting and I came up with this idea to start, have a new beginning. And
yeah, and you can follow that whole journey on Instagram.
Yeah,
because
so
he's very good at sharing
we're
it.
building.
Shared your Instagram name there, so hopefully everybody on here can follow, your journey, so we can get some bread too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Oh, you guys, ridiculous. I started off as a customer. No, all kidding aside.
Yeah, she did.
So what we'll also do is we'll blast this to all of our folks. So want to make sure that we're there to not only buy and eat some, but to share the bread with so many people.
Oh my God, yes. Oh God. Richard, you better stop it. You're just the best. So we have a treat for you guys today. And not only so his tagline in his company is hazy art is in bread. And that's how we fell in love. Because I was like, oh, I get it, because art is in everything. And he was like, yeah, baby girl. And so now we are going to share a little bit. He's so shy. We're going to share a little bit of that art with you. And I felt that this song was fitting because remember, in this time, we're all just humans trying to figure it out, okay? That is all we are doing. So we got to take our time. Let's take it slow. Let's be chill. Try and find your peace if you can. And this is our little closing number to you. I hope you guys can hear it too. I'll sing loud.
Oh shit! Hold on.
You got it.
I got it.
You got it.
Just gotta refresh a little bit.
Boy, I'm in love with you. This ain't the honeymoon. We're past the infatuation phase. Riding the thick of love. At times we get sick of love. It seems like we argue every day. I know I've misbehaved. You've made your mistakes. We both still got room left to grow. And though love sometimes hurts, I still put you first. And we'll make this thing work. But I think we should take it slow. We're just ordinary people. You got it. We don't know which way to go, 'cause we're ordinary people. Maybe we should take it slow. Take it slow. Oh, this time we'll take it slow. Take it slow. Oh, oh. This time we'll take it slow. This ain't a movie, no. No fairy tale conclusion, yo. It gets more confusing every day. Oh, sometimes it's heaven sent. Then we head back to hell again. Kiss, then we make up on the way. Said I hang up, you call. We rise and we fall. We feel like just walking away. And as our love advances, we take second chances. No, it's not a fantasy. I still want you to stay, 'cause we're ordinary people. We don't know which way to go. Yes, we're ordinary people. Said maybe we should take it slow, take it slow. take it slow. Maybe we'll live and learn. Maybe we'll crash and burn. Maybe we'll stay, maybe we'll go, maybe we'll return. Maybe another fight, maybe we won't survive. Maybe we'll grow, we'll never know. Maybe you and I, 'cause we're ordinary people. We don't know which way to go. Yes, we're ordinary people. Maybe we should take it slow. Take it slow. Take it slow. This is for you. I think you should take it slow. Said take it slow. Take it slow. I think you need to take it slow. Great.
That's so beautiful. Thank you, Matias, as well.
Thank you, Matias. You did great.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Matias. Thank you, Annie. You guys are just so awesome. And the setting in the background, I wish, and there will be a day, it feels like we can go over there in our shorts and our shoes, our tennis shoes, and have a barbecue. But I know that you provided a lot of food for thought and food for the spirit tonight. Do you have any closing comments before we go to Shakira?
I am just so grateful for you guys for tuning in above, not for me, but for yourselves. Like this, just so you guys know, is the first step to your peace. The fact that you took the time and you clicked the link and you registered for this is the first step to your self-lovery. So I'm so proud of y'all. Thank you guys so much for tuning in you guys are all brilliant. Thank you to the wall, Las Memorias. Thank you guys so much. And I can't wait to do more things with you guys. This is amazing. I'm so grateful.
We will.
Yes.
I love how people are giving virtual hugs.
Are they? Yes! Everybody, let's hug ourselves real quick. Please, can we all give ourselves a hug like we're all hugging? Carlos, I see you. Hug yourself, damn it.
That's our friend, guys. She doesn't call out random
I don't know him at all. No, I'm just kidding.
She would.
Just kidding.
So I just want to close before we really close, just by saying that I'm so happy that everyone came and showed up today for their inner self, and we're all making our inner selves a priority to come out of the quarantine with what's really important, which is a better understanding of ourselves and who we are and our wants and needs and desires and what makes us happy. I think that's really, at the end of the day, what this is really teaching us is what's important is your happiness, and that you are happy with yourself and with those around you. And you can obviously control those circumstances with the tools that, Annie has given us today. So I hope this conversation was empowering to all of you. I was just thinking like, wow, it's April 22nd. Like I thought I would be at a certain point by this date, and I am just happy with who I am at this moment. And I think we all just need to take that time to give ourselves that space to love ourselves today for who we are today and not who we thought we would be. So I'm really happy with how this turned out and with the turnout. And I'm just going to hand it over to Richard so he can tell you guys a little bit more about some community events and some great stuff that the Wall Las Memorias is doing.
Thank you so much, Shakira. I just want to, before I close out the evening, I want to ask Victor, one of our community organizers, to say a few words about some of our programs. Victor?
Yeah, so sorry, there's a lot of folks in my house, so you might hear some background, but yeah, so we have groups that we're facilitating through Zoom, and these groups are, like she, her, hers for trans women, men's talk for, guys who are queer, gay, pause group for folks who are HIV positive. And so we facilitate these groups, to connect, reflect, and, continue to build community, and share those supportive spaces. It's peer support. And And you know, so if you follow us or not follow us, but if you look at the wallacememorias.org and you go down to calendar, you'll be able to see and join us at our next sessions. So yeah, thank you, Richard.
Thank you, Victor. And so to all of you here tonight, I just want to share an observation that I wanted to put out there. Every night, my fiance and I, we live downtown. And every night at about 8 o'clock, like so many people around the world, we gather outside of our windows and our balconies and we bang the pots. And we yell and we support the first responders. And we do that as an amazing, it's become a ritual for us. But what I realized is it's more than just that ritual of honoring our first responders. It's really about connecting with our neighbors. And to know that we may not know their names, but we kind of sense who they are because we experience or we think that they're going through the same experiences that we are going through. So as people will go out at 8 o'clock and bang the pots and scream and support the first responders, we have done the same thing here tonight. We've created an amazing safe space with a garden setting, with beautiful people who spoke truth, who played their music, who facilitated an incredible conversation, and people who just chimed in when they could have been watching CNN or other shows on television. They're here with us, right? And it's also because of people like you, Shakira. I really mean it. I am so moved to see people like yourselves who give so much time when you think about other people in the community, and Annie and so many others who are constantly thinking, yeah, I need to take care of myself, but I also want to take care of the community. And so to all of you tonight, I just want to say that we will get through this together, and we will be back and you'll be getting notices, and we're going to do this again. And we may do things differently, but we're not going to leave the community. We're not walking away from you. We're here together because we're familia.
Yay, Richard, that was beautiful. Thank you guys so much for coming. We want to hold you guys accountable. Follow The Wall, Las Memorias on Instagram. Please follow Annie G. Gonzalez on Instagram. Please follow me, Shakira Barrera, on Instagram. Follow Matthias's business. I could also type this all out on the chat, but hopefully you guys got that. There's not too many of us in here, so I'm sure like we all got that. But thank you guys so much for coming and for showing up for yourselves. This is about you, so thank you. Thank you so much for this time. Annie, you're beautiful. Thank you. Matthias, thank you. Richard and Erica, who also helped set this up. We love you guys. Thank you for coming.